Well, I think um, time has it's up, and I'm just gonna start and not waste everybody's time. It's gonna go live somewhere. We'll share the link, and I think I'm gonna start just to talk a little bit about 3D Hills. So I'm gonna share my screen. So thanks everyone for joining us today. I'm Jenny Chen. I'm the founder of 3D Hills. I started this about 5 or 6 years ago. There are three missions why I started it. One is to connect innovators, early adopters. I'm pretty sure you guys all enjoyed the experience of meeting another like-minded individual. And then the two is to educate people. You know, people want to do a lot of things for 3D printing. Is that really possible? We want to bring experts into the field to really teach people how to leverage 3D printing and you know, in a language people can understand. And then finally is, you know, my major mission is to discover startups and potentially, you know, investing them or finding funding sources for the startups. My own personal view of healthcare, I actually should do presentation mode probably, is that healthcare is going to be more decentralized and personalized over time, but not at a higher cost. And then finally, in the last 5 years, I've met a lot of like-minded individuals, and Justin is one of them. And they became community managers for 3D Hills over time, and they did a fantastic job organizing events locally. But obviously, the pandemic changed a little bit that. We also host a lot of pitch online. These are mostly private pitches. So we have a group of about 30 VCs that I present the decks to, and then startup can have opportunity to pitch to them. So that's about it. And Jay, I will stop sharing here. Jay or Erica, you guys, one of them, you can talk about Team Neo a little bit.
Sure. Team NEO is a regional economic development organization in the Northeast Ohio Northeast Ohio area, and we cover 18 counties. We work with companies in the healthcare space, very significant companies from Immucare to Asteris, Gojo, Hitachi Healthcare, etc. But a few years back, we recognized that additive manufacturing was going to have a significant effect on business in our region. And as such, we established the Additive Manufacturing Cluster of Ohio. And so we have been drawing together manufacturing and healthcare companies and other industry companies around the subject of additive manufacturing. And we have, I think, led the growth of this industry and application with so many of our companies. So on an annual basis, we connect with about 1,200 different companies in a variety of different industries. Probably 90 to 100 of those are in the healthcare space. And that we're finding that probably half of them are utilizing or looking seriously at how they can apply 3D printing to enhance their own operations, as well as in terms of product development. So we are finding this nice nexus, this natural nexus that exists between regional economic development and 3D printing and helping companies grow in our region.
Thank you, Jay.
Sure.
Justin, I'll let you introduce yourself and then we can start the speaker presentations.
Sure. My name's Justin Baker. I'm the Vice President of Research and Development of Viscous Biologics and the Community Manager here in Cleveland for 3D Heals. A little bit about Viscous. We are a natural polymer I guess, design and service and manufacturing company. So we do a lot with handling animal tissue, decellularizing it, and using that for wound matrices or dissolving the collagen and doing soluble collagen for bioprinting inks. cell culture materials, that kind of stuff. We do have a large clean room area, as well as office and lab space for manufacturing of medical devices, and we are ISO 13485 certified. So that's a little bit about me. I've been involved with 3D Heals since 2018, so this is coming on 3 years. And it has been a good, I'd say, partnership with Team Neo, as well as our initial events were held at their space downtown. And I think with their focus on additive manufacturing, it was a good partnership there. So like to thank and the speakers for being willing to share with the things that they're working on. I know we had a in-person one that was planned right around the March area about a year ago with a lot of these same speakers, and of course everything was shut down. So it's nice that we'll be able to hear from them. We'll probably start with Dr. David Dean. His research focuses on medical procedures and devices primarily related to musculoskeletal reconstructive surgery. His PhD thesis presented a novel template-based method for the production of average 3D surface images of organs such as the skull. His postdoctoral research at the Institute of Reconstructive and Plastic Surgery at New York University used average skull images as targets for surgical simulation and intraoperative guidance. In 1994, he joined Case Western Reserve University here in Cleveland, Ohio, and he began using average skull images to design and fabricate cranial implants in the Department of Neurological Surgery. Dr. Dean was the first person to use an anatomical template to design and 3D print a patient-specific cranial implant, procedure that is now standard of care. Since the mid-1990s, Dr. Dean's research has expanded to incorporate techniques from the field of regenerative medicine, including biomaterials, skeletal progenitor cells, cell signaling proteins and molecules in the search for a bone tissue engineering or bone substitute strategy. In 2013, Dr. Dean's primary appointment moved to the Department of Plastic and Reconstructive Surgery at The Ohio State University and is currently in the Materials Science and Engineering Department. And he leads the Osteoengineering Lab, where novel bone tissue engineering research uses 3D printed, resorbable, solid cured polymers, as well as bioprinted cell-laden hydrogels. And he's also working on 3D printing of two biometals, nickel titanium, and a resorbable patent mending magnesium alloy. Both are being used to develop stiffness matched skeletal fixation devices, and taken together, these technologies portend significant improvements in musculoskeletal reconstructive surgical outcomes. We'll go ahead and turn the time over to you, Dr. Dean. Thanks for your willingness to speak.
Thanks for the invitation. I wish I had been able to go to Cleveland last spring. I grew up in Shaker Heights and went to Case Western as an undergraduate, as well as coming back to be on the faculty there. So in my mind, I'm always in Cleveland, having spent 40 years there. I'm going to share my screen. One moment. Here we are. Okay. So I cite a number of authors here, co-authors, who are working with me on these two techniques I'm going to present. This is all about fine membranes. I'm going to speak quickly, but feel free to interrupt me if you have questions, or I don't know when you're going to deal with questions. I actually have to drop from the meeting at noon, so I want to make sure I give people whatever information I can, and I don't want to take time from the other speakers, so I'll speak rather quickly. This is about creating fine membranes, and when I say fine membranes, I mean membranes as thick as one cell. So the two techniques I'll be presenting to you are techniques we're working on in our lab, and to my knowledge, they're the first biofabrication techniques that can create membranes of one cell thick or thereabouts and put two different types of cells together as layers. I have some founders equity and some startups, but there's no conflicts of interest with this talk. So 3 quick parts here. The importance of layers in biology. So one thing that's very difficult also to do now is to produce lipid bilayers. We're great at producing micelles, but the bilayer is how things are controlled in terms of getting in and out of cells. At a higher length scale, again, that single cell layer, that's where everything comes from, the fertilized egg to a ball of cells, a single cell thick. And then you have an indentation, and 2 layers of cells have come together and they differentiate. So you have endoderm and ectoderm. And in fact, the reason the fact that they're together is the reason why you get mesoderm. And so this is called gastrulation, that indentation of the ball. And this is a famous quote from one of my heroes about gastrulations, that indentation of the ball into what becomes the gut tube and so on. So thinking about another level up in terms of size of things, and this, as an anatomist, I've been trained to look at the body as a series of layers. So we can think about the body wall. Each of those layers you see there in the upper right began as a single cell thick layer in the embryo. And some of those layers are preserved. So you see in the lung, 2 layers right next to each other of cells in order to get oxygen in and CO2 out. But as the layers get thicker, they require a vasculature. So it has to be infused with blood vessels to supply every